Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to We Need to Talk.
Welcome.
That's a lot of W's.
It is.
I am Jasper D. Platt. I am a comedian, and I have never read the Bible before.
My name's Quin. I've played songs before, and I have read the Bible many times. I'm going to read it to Jasper.
And that's the whole show.
That's the whole thing.
Buckle up, bitches. We're reading the Bible. And then you do the intro. When, nigga, does that become the fucking case?
This is going to be the most boring section of this episode because I have to read you just what
Because
the
you just
rules
have
are.
to just tell me how this works.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the most easy to read one.
Yeah, it's probably
I'm
wise.
going to get the New International.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Chapter 12.
Oh, man, this is... Oh,
I
see how
know.
much more boring this is?
I know. It's bad. I do not have a great imagination. TV ruined me.
The Passover.
So,
Okay.
one asterisk I want to put on this, because this series of notes, and I'm not making a joke, is the hardest I've tried.
Okay, wow.
So, like, every single question I had, I referenced every single Bible for different translations. I checked the notes in the study Bible. Like, I legitimately tried to make sense of this to the best of my ability. I tried to put aside my anger and just be like, okay.
How much CBD did you smoke?
So
To not be angry
So,
at this point.
no, like, it worked.
I'm glad.
I mean, we're
glad
talking
it
like
worked.
overflowing bowls, like roasted down to nothing. But like, I got through several chapters, and I was like, I felt the anger, but I was like, you know what? No, we're figuring this out. So
You can't just be like, here are the rules for Passover. Because God is a fucking shit cunt ass fucking shit. Blah, blah, blah.
and that's what today's for.
What?
I made all the notes so that today I could say all the fucked up shit, but like with a foundation of good research.
Well, then that's even better. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you have your anger focused.
Yeah.
Out of sight of the notes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I would just look over at your notes and I would see a large section just boldly capitalized. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Gotta get ready for that.
Sometimes a little bit of transparency for the viewer at home or listener at home. Sometimes there's so much craziness that I legitimately need to put all caps in my notes because, like, I'll skim through stuff and we'll get off topic, but I'm like, no, this one thing, like, we really have to talk about because it's very important to the story, or
Right.
like, it's like pure insanity or whatever. But
All of it's pure insanity.
yeah,
All right.
but there's a lot of crazy shit.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to like. No.
So God says this is the first month of the year now.
Okay.
It's March or April-ish. We don't know exactly when, but
I kind of want to go into Big Boy to see if it would give any extra info.
yeah, do please. Yeah, chapter 12. I mean, it's chapter 12, like first 1 or 2.
Okay.
It's
I'm just
early.
You keep talking, and I'll see if I can
Yeah.
like, find anything in this.
So it says on the 10th day of the month, you have to select a lamb or a young goat, and you have to slaughter it. You have to share the meat if it's too much meat for your family. Basically, you can't waste anything. The animal has to be 1 year old with no physical defects. And then the study Bible made a point to say, this is obviously a precursor for Jesus. And that's actually a pause I wanted to take because something I learned, like genuinely really trying to dissect all this, is there's different value and different weight to these words depending on how much of this book you believe in.
That's a very complicated notion.
Yeah. So it's like, from what we understand, and we're, again, for the millionth time, not Bible scholars.
Really not.
I mean, I'm reading the words, I'm telling you what it says, but I don't know Greek. So we're doing our best.
Or fucking Arabic.
Hebrew or
Latin,
whatever. Yeah, no, I know English. That's it.
That's it. I don't even know the English that the King James is written in.
That doesn't count. That's not English. That's a different fucking language. No, but like, if you are of the Jewish faith, you do not take the New Testament as truth because you do not believe that that Jesus was the Messiah that God promised.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it.
So you the most common way it's described is we believe Jesus existed, that he was a very good person, but we don't believe he was our Messiah. So
they just think he was a nice guy.
Yeah,
they don't think he is the savior.
Because a weird thing that happens, like this is a weird side tangent, but we actually should get into this. Number one, Jesus was not the only person in his time claiming to be the Messiah, like the savior of the people. There were dozens of other messiahs. Like there were a lot of people. Like how right now, how like Vice does episodes where they're like, oh, we went to this weird cult in fucking South America where this dude has long hair and claims to be the Messiah that's going to save everybody.
I get jealous of those every time because I want to be in those groups.
No, I understand completely. But like that was happening in Jesus' time. He was not the only person.
This is definitely not new.
Right. And people that are devoutly Jewish, from what I understand, look at Jesus' teachings and the things that he did, and they say, yes, he had valuable insight on our faith and the things that needed to be changed and some things that did not need to be changed. And the way he taught you to live life was good, but we do not believe that he was the Holy Son of God who was sent here to act as a sacrifice for all of humanity. They just think he was a good person. So that changes your reading of this as a theoretically Jewish person, because in the study Bible, it says that the animal has to be 1 year old and it has to be like physically pure because you need to sacrifice it. And this Bible, the Zondervan Study Bible, says that's obviously a precursor, like foreshadowing Jesus's sinless sacrifice.
Like but the lamb.
Right.
Okay.
But that means nothing if you don't believe that Jesus was even the... So, like...
That is...
There's no foreshadowing.
No, it's painfully more complicated to a book that's already painfully complicated.
Yeah.
Because, one person, like if a Jewish person read, what are we at, 12:3?
Yeah.
So, blah, 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 in 10th day of this month, just take every man a lamb, according to the house of the fathers, a lamb for a house. Okay, cool. Yeah. So if you're a Jewish person and you read this and you want to know how to be a better Jewish person,
right?
You go, oh, sacrifice a lamb.
Yep.
Cool.
Done.
But then if you're a Christian, especially like a specific type, like a self-righteous Christian,
right? And
you read this and you make this a part of who you are, but like metaphorically, and vaguely, and like, oh, well, this is just how God wanted us to be more like Jesus. And like now you're just not making any sense.
You're not making any sense, especially because like
the context of the book and when it was written and all that. And like, they probably did want you to just kill a lamb.
Yeah, because another thing to think about too that just popped in my head right now is the assumption from this Bible's perspective is that this God has been planning all of these things forever, right? This is...
Which is funny because if you read it the way I think a normal person would read it, the way we've been reading it, he's been about 12 steps behind himself.
Exactly.
Just fucking shit up.
Yeah.
Making life harder.
So he's flawlessly planning out this sinless sacrifice that's going to come thousands of years from now.
But we're still in a story where he's hurting people because he wants to make it rain toads.
Because he wants people to jerk him off and talk about how badass he is.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
He's making everyone's life harder by hardening Pharaoh's heart.
Yeah.
And Moses has a hard time. Like, I'm not even kidding. Moses has a hard time speaking in front of people.
Right.
And now God's like, hey, do magic tricks.
You just think it's hilarious to pick people that shouldn't be doing those jobs.
Yeah, which is not how things get done.
No.
You don't pick the guy with social anxieties and stage fright to do incredible feats of absolute pure magic to a king.
Yeah. No.
With 2 magicians in his court.
Yeah.
And then Aaron's supposed to just speak for you. Like, this is fucked up, man.
It is.
And you're making it harder because the fucking Ramses is not going to listen because you've hardened his heart after giving Moses these magical and you told Moses
specifically
all of this.
Yeah. The best part is later in this story, it actually has a scene of Moses pulling Aaron aside and being like,
okay, yeah, I'll tell him.
And then Aaron goes and does it.
Oh my God! It's like, hey man, could you just tell him that like God's gonna. Yeah, could you tell God that? Sorry, not tell God. No, God. God told you. Yeah. God told me. God told me that tell them that.
Deep breath.
Okay. This is so scary.
I know, but you don't have to talk to him. It's cool.
I know, but like he's so watching me. Like I'm thinking about it.
That makes sense.
He's right. He's like 10 feet in front of us.
I'm scared too.
Wait, you can't even do the magic tricks. Can you do the magic tricks?
Yeah, no, I did the magic tricks.
But I thought I was supposed to do the
Yeah,
magic
but then you were a pussy, so that we had to have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. What did you want me to
do
tell
you-
him?
Oh, I didn't tell you yet. Oh God. And that's who you're fucking supposed to save the Israelites and rescue them out of Egypt. It's basically the king's speech.
Yeah.
But then you just throw in a bunch of slaves. And his speech is not going to work no matter what he does.
Yep.
No matter how many times he
Could have gone the other way. God could have just been like, listen, I'm going to fucking empower you with speech, and you're going to be, this guy doesn't want to listen to you, but it's going to be so overwhelmingly persuasive based on my fucking powers that, but no.
Man, that'd be a short story,
It
wouldn't
would be. Yeah. Be a better story.
We've said that so many times.
I know. So yeah, you get the lamb. Dude, we're 2 sentences into my notes.
And I just read another verse and I got more things to add about like Christianity because the next verse is like, oh, if your house is too small, just go to your neighbors, and if that's not big enough, then blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like these are rules. These are not metaphorical things.
No,
for
these
Christ.
are just actual things to do.
Because Christ doesn't come for like another fucking million pages.
The best way to introduce young readers to the Bible is through its stories.
This is why you don't flip through the Bible, kids.
Oh, dude.
I have a kid's Bible in here.
You do.
What?
You do. Look.
Oh, look, it's Noah's Ark. Oh boy, this is not comforting to look at all. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah. Oh, Samson.
Wait, we're gonna get to Samson's in Exodus?
No.
Oh.
No, this is just like very much compressing Old Testament.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, because we're already at Jesus.
We're already at Jesus, yeah.
And then Jesus before Pilate.
Oh, so this is Matthew.
Yeah.
So we're like,
We're in your book. We're this far away from the New Testament.
God damn it!
I know.
All right,
Let's get through this.
We gotta get through it.
Because some of this stuff just is really not that important. It's just it's important to bring up the insanity, but it's not important to talk about
These
it.
are just the rules of Passover, right?
Animals 1 year old, no defects. They get treated special for 4 days. You get to fucking rub them and touch them and make them feel super happy, and then you kill them. Then you smear the blood on the doorframe. In the house where you eat the meat, you cannot put the blood on a different house and then eat it in a different house. It has to be same house.
Okay, sure. Why not?
Well, yeah, cool.
Got no time.
Then you have to eat it with bitter herbs and unleavened bread.
Yeah. All right. Gross.
I'm going to say this now, and we're going to come back to it. I don't understand what this book has against yeast, but it's a fucking thing.
Okay.
I don't know. That's the one thing I couldn't find. Like, I couldn't find why God hates yeast.
Oh man, this is so hard to read in the King James one.
You can't boil it. You can't eat it raw. Whatever you don't eat, you have to burn. You have to wear your traveling clothes while you eat. And you have to eat super fast because God's going to kill all the Egypt kids, but you'll be okay. God says you have to have a party for him every year, and it has to last a week. It's to celebrate this exact thing happening. You're not allowed to have yeast. Again, if you ever have yeast in your house during that week, you're kicked out of the community.
Don't forget, thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded.
I think that's a traveling clothes thing.
Oh, shoes on your feet, staff in hand.
Yeah.
You shall eat it in haste. Yeah. Okay, well, loins girded was a weird thing
That's
for
fair.
me to read. I'm sorry.
That's cool.
I keep interrupting
You're
you
good.
with nonsense.
I mean, it's kind of the show.
And this is, it's so much.
On the first and the last day of the party, you have to worship God super hard. Seriously, no fucking yeast or you'll be kicked out of the community.
I feel like they haven't mentioned yeast this much, but I'm not even going to try.
I swear to God. I swear to fucking God.
I know you're not lying to me at this point. So they mentioned yeast, 3 times?
It says no yeast or you'll be kicked out of the community 3 times. I wrote an extra sentence just to make a point.
Good, thank you. All right, 3 times, no yeast. Fuck yeast.
You can't leave your house while God is on his killing spree. Because apparently he doesn't know what you look like. You might get caught up in the murder frenzy.
He does love murder.
He does. That's my favorite part of this is like you have to go through all this shit. Like you have to paint your house. And it's because God doesn't know what his chosen people look like. Like if you're not in the house with the blood on it, he might just fuck up and just be like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, fuck.
Dude, I told you to stay inside.
You're supposed to go in the house. how am I, the specific creator of all life, supposed to know that you're one of my people? Oh,
This is that scene from Ricky Bobby where he's just signing boobies, and then his assistant comes up and he just signs her forehead. It's
yeah.
like, you can't come up to me when I'm signing boobies.
Verse 24, seriously, you can never stop doing this. Every year, talk about how cool I am.
Wow. Okay. It's a big commitment.
Yeah. Verse 31, get the fuck out right now. Verse 32, they go to the Pharaoh, and they're like, hey, we're leaving. He's like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. I hate that you're here. And he's like, okay, cool, bless me before you go, though.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Moses asked for a blessing?
No, Moses goes to Pharaoh, and he's like, hey, have we made our point? Like, is it cool if we fuck out of here? And Pharaoh's like, yeah, I would love nothing more than if you left and never came back. Also, please bless me.
Oh, man. I don't know. It's hard for me to...
This book was so written from the perspective of somebody that was jerking God off, because I think that the person that was tortured the way that the Pharaoh was tortured would not be like, oh, I want your God to touch me in a happy place.
Yeah, no.
He would want nothing to do with that.
God put the Pharaoh in a very, very bad
He did.
spot emotionally.
Yeah. Verse 34.
Which is kind of funny when people go like, oh, well, you're depressed. That's the devil in you. All right. You say you got mental illnesses. Well, that's the devil. So far, all of my examples is that the Lord is making people depressed and anxious and upset.
Yeah.
And putting them in positions they don't want to be in.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Cool.
Yeah.
So far, the devil is not even in this book.
Nope.
All right.
Verse 34.
Hail Satan.
They took bread dough without yeast. Fuck yeast.
Why do they hate yeast?
I don't know.
Hey, does matzah have yeast in it?
No, that's the flat bread.
Oh, wow,
Matzah
really?
flat bread.
What a
Yeah,
surprise.
It's unleavened bread.
I figured.
Yeah. I'm vaguely Jewish, and I had to do a Hanukkah. It was not fun.
That's a weird sentence. I'm just going to leave that there. How are you vaguely Jewish?
My mom's dad was kind of Jewish, but he didn't raise my mom Jewish, but he also had a secret second family that my mom found out about when she was in her 50s, and then we went to their house for Hanukkah, and it was weird, and we never talked to him again. So in verse 35, they rob everybody.
Okay. Gonna skirt past that whole thing.
Verse 36, God forces the Egyptians to give the Jews shit.
Woo, woo!
Read 36. I want to hear 36 in Big Boy. I read it last night in the KJV, but I don't give a fuck. I want to hear it again.
Fine, that's good. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required. And they spoiled the Egyptians.
We'll read you in mine just so we have all
That
of it.
doesn't make any sense.
The Lord caused the Egyptians to look favorably on the Israelites, and they gave the Israelites whatever they asked for. So like a victorious army, they plundered the Egyptians. There's an exclamation point there, but I refuse to say it with that tone.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, they plundered the people who were...
Doing nothing wrong!
Well, the Egyptians were the slave owners, right?
Yeah. Ooh, sorry. Yeah, no, they did a lot wrong.
They did... There's a lot of gray area here.
Nobody's right.
No, you know who is wrong? God.
Yeah.
God's wrong.
100%.
Bad God.
100% bad
Bad
God.
God.
We don't want you. We do not want
He's
you.
a bad God. Stop doing what you're doing. It's bad. All right.
Verse 37 has a fun revelation.
Okay.
There were 600,000 Jews that left Egypt.
It's a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of slaves.
Uh-huh.
That probably would crumble the economy.
Uh-huh.
Probably. I'm not saying they should have kept their
Nope.
slaves, but pay them for their work.
Yeah.
But now they're gone. This is all just weird. I don't know, man. This is just
Verse
weird.
38. Oh, that's because a lot of the people that left weren't Jews.
Oh,
Yeah, just a lot of people left with the Jews.
I don't blame them. It's just like, dude, this is just fucking dramatic and weird. And
Right.
I don't like the
Oh,
frog.
is there a procession?
I don't like the frogs in the blood river, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave.
Yeah. I noticed a lot of people leaving. I'm just going
I'm just gonna
to pop into the
kinda
crowd.
go with
Yeah.
I only have like 3 things
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna
You
put
just
that
take
in
it.
a
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah.
And that bag is also.
And God
restricted.
doesn't know what the Jews look like. So once you're in the crowd, you can just walk up to other Egyptians and be like, "Hey, give me your shit." And they're gonna be like, "Oh fuck, okay."
Yeah, that's how being a Jew works, I guess. Back in
Apparently, yeah.
It's just you got to follow where the Jews are.
You have to pee very carefully though.
What?
Because you don't want people to see that your dick tip isn't cut off. Because you don't want your dick tip cut off. Because
No
that just
one
sounds
wants
painful.
that.
Right, but
We saw the Lego Bible.
yeah,
didn't look like a fun
it looked
time.
awful. It looked like that was most of his torso.
Yeah, it's hard to have a Lego piece symbolize a piece of foreskin when a Lego is this big.
Yeah.
And the foreskin is like that big. It's like that's like 8% of your entire body.
It's upsetting.
Okay. All right.
The people of Israel, this is verse 40, had lived in Egypt for 430 years.
Okay.
Verse 41, ever so conveniently, I say, not the Bible, it was on the last day of the 430th year that the Jews left.
Okay.
God has nothing if not a flair for the dramatic, I suppose.
Maybe that's why he did that. Maybe he, like the Jews were like, "Oh, hey, let's go free." And he's like, ah, bah, 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 bah. But if you do it like the way I do it, then it'll be on the last day. It's 430 years.
But could it be 429 years before?
No, that's stupid. I'm not gonna fucking make it 429.
No, I'm saying, no, 1 year. Why couldn't it just be, why did it even have to be a year of your people being tortured, but why did it have to be 430?
What? What was that? You wanna run that by me?
Yeah,
one
I
more
do,
time?
you fucking dick.
Yeah, go ahead. No,
Okay, so here.
Yep.
So these are your chosen people, right?
Oh, yeah,
like
no,
you love them?
No,
you like
the
them a
Jews
lot?
are-
They're
I
cool?
love that. They're my guys.
Yeah.
Like if I, like, you know, squad goals, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
I'm the Jewish God. I
Right.
kind of
So like,
invented
it's like you like
Judaism.
these people. That's
I
dope.
love them. They're great.
Right,
They're my
yeah.
chosen. I chose them.
So do you, why would you let them suffer for half a century?
It wasn't. It was 430 years.
That's essentially half a century.
Is it though?
Yeah,
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
it is.
You know, well, listen. Okay, we all make mistakes.
You've made so many.
God don't make no junk. You know.
You make nothing but junk.
Hey, you know you keep talking like that, but you know what's funny about the way your tone, the way
No,
you're talking.
no.
See any rainbows?
You know what I've come to terms with?
What's that?
We haven't discussed hell yet. I don't give a fuck if you kill me because then I don't have to deal with you anymore.
Man, you're not supposed to read ahead. Come on, man. Well, guess what?
What?
Look, your dick off.
Okay, hey, you guess what? No dirty foreigners can have the special party meat.
You just can't get comfortable in this book.
You cannot.
Oh, there's no cozy hammock. You know when you're watching a scary movie and like scary stuff just happened, and
Yeah.
you know you have like 10 minutes. And there's a lot of exposition going on. They have to explain the monster or
Yeah.
like, how this world works.
Or they're just
compared to
tension building.
ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you know, like the scene in The Quiet Place where they're by the waterfall. You're like, nothing bad's gonna happen here because they're talking about like emotions and character development and a little bit of backstory and so you know nothing bad's gonna happen.
Right.
There's no moment in this book by a waterfall. All of it is they're walking on the bridge and the kid has a rocket ship in his head. All of it's that.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Slaves can eat the special party meat though, but you have to cut their dicks off.
This is so weird.
But not people that you hired and paid. And no dirty foreigners. That's verses 44 and 45, if you want to read that.
Do I?
I don't know.
Do I want to?
Do you want? Let's hear it.
Okay, 44 to 45. But every man's servant that is bought for money when thou hast circumcised him shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof.
So I also like that they were just slaves.
Mm-hmm.
And they have slaves now? Why would you do that? Why?
That was like the whole point of the story.
The whole thing.
Was just not to have slaves. Was not to have the Jewish people. be
Yeah, but the
slaves.
Jews can have slaves. apparently. And they do. And they're not allowed to be part of the special party.
I mean, look, man, okay.
No, they are. I'm sorry. They're allowed to be part of the special party. But they're still slaves.
Can we go back to Joseph? Joseph was actually like a nice, fun story.
I know.
I actually kind of liked
not
the
getting
Joseph
better.
story. That was the best, I think.
It was.
Fuck. Because Joseph was like a nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus is pretty nice, too. He says some things that people don't talk about that are weird, but, like, not bad.
Oh, I'm excited to get to the weird Jesus stuff.
Well, there's, like, we'll plant the seed now. Everybody likes to say that, like, oh, well, that's the Old Testament. We don't talk about it. But there's a specific line in the New Testament where Jesus specifically says, I'm here to uphold the old covenant, not to write a new one.
Ooh, that's fun.
So I don't know what world these people are living in, but Jesus was very specifically like a hardcore Jew that was like, no. Old Testament shit, bitches.
Jesus Christ came in and said, hey, man, The Godfather 2 is not a separate movie. It is a continuation of the story.
Exactly.
Same story. You can like one more than the other, but guess what? Same fucking story, dude.
Yeah.
And you can't be like, oh, I like The Godfather 2, but like there was that scene in Godfather 1. Nope, same story. Fuck
Same,
you.
yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. I kind of like that. He's a purist.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. All right.
We actually need to talk about the book Zealot by Reza Aslan because it's really fascinating.
Okay. I don't know what that
It's
is,
really good.
but I want to talk about it.
He did a lot of research and wrote a book about historical Jesus. And like really got into like the nuts and bolts of a world in which there were dozens of messiahs all claiming to be the Messiah and how Jesus kind of fit into that world.
That's like when Superman died, and then there was a cyborg Superman, and like a Superman with a motorcycle jacket and sunglasses. And then Superman came back and he had a mullet and a black suit. And they're like, you're not Superman.
He was like, bitch, look at my
We
mullet.
got 5 other Supermen.
And then he fucked them all up.
I don't like how often comic books relate back to the Bible.
It's almost like they're equally poorly written stories, but superheroes are more fun to like because they don't define our politics and our life.
They're not the bedrock of our society.
Exactly.
We haven't built a country off of the idea that Superman with a mullet is who we should all aspire to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Huh. Look what happens when you don't do that shit. How come the Jews got slaves?
In verse 46, they talk about how you have to eat together in one house, which I think is hilarious when there's 600,000 people. In verse 48, God says, actually, I changed my mind. The dirty foreigners can eat with you, but only if they have their dick tips cut off. Nobody with a dick tip.
What is his deal with
Nobody
this?
with a dick tip can eat the special party lamb.
I don't like how much God wants
People's dicks cut off.
It's just weird. It's just weird. How come they have slaves again? And
I don't know.
like, but also at the same time, they've never not had slaves.
They were slaves. They couldn't have slaves.
Yeah, but then like you go back 3 pages, and it's like Jacob's talking to his slaves.
Oh, yeah.
And his slaves.
Well, but that's because he was an Egyptian. When Joseph was an Egyptian.
Fuck, they were Egyptians.
Yeah.
Dirty foreigners. Sorry,
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah, you're good.
This is so weird. All of this is weird.
Verse 51 is one of my favorites because...
This is gonna be a dumb question.
Yeah.
This is like ancient Egypt times with like, to be stereotypical, like the eyeliner and the pyramids and Anubis and all that. Which was actually, so that was my favorite part about the Prince of Egypt, is that they make direct and explicit references to ancient Egyptian gods in that song.
Right. Yeah,
When
like
the- when
Ra
the-
and...
Yeah, when the magicians are like showing Moses that they can do the tricks too, but they have literal smoke and
Did you
mirrors.
watch it again between last episode and this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I didn't watch it before. I saw it last year, and so I remember it pretty clearly as an adult. But I went back this past week, and I basically it wasn't on Netflix, so I watched it through YouTube. Like I watched all the songs, and I watched other people talk about it. And
Right.
So
God, we live in a weird culture. Like, I don't want to consume this movie because I want to pay for it, but I will go on YouTube, watch an ad, and then watch somebody talk about it. And that will give me the same amount of time.
Well, it also helps to watch someone talk about it when I'm doing.
No, it
a
does.
show,
It's just such a
studying
weird.
it.
It's just such a weird. Like, I mean,
Oh,
like,
no, it's
and
insane.
It's we live in a weird time. Thank you for watching our thing of us talking about things. Like,
Speaking of, that's exactly what
I'm not acting like we're better than anybody else. It's
God,
just
no.
it's a very strange. It's a very strange thing. Like, this is a thing that people will watch.
Yeah, people have watched it already. Not a lot, but like when I was home, man, that was the topic of conversation.
It's very weird.
Oh, it was so strange.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
In verse 51, it says that they left in divisions.
I'm really sorry, but this is so boring. This part of it. I know it's in here, and we need to
That
get
one
through it.
verse?
No, just like
Oh, well, no, we're almost to chapter 13. Shit
this-
gets crazy again, I promise.
I don't want that either. I can't win with this book.
It's crazy or it's boring. Those are your only two speeds.
I just started reading Treasure Island. That is a great book.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
It's fantastic.
I get why it's held up
It's not this.
entire time. No, dude. Not even a little
You should
bit.
not be reading any other books while we do this because it's going to point out how poorly this
I
is
think
written.
that's why I'm so bored right now, honestly, is because I've been reading Treasure Island and like it'll be boring for like 3 paragraphs and then all of a sudden shit gets insane. So like I was like, oh, that was build up.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the payoff. Like how a story's supposed to be written. And this man was introduced as a captain and now I know his name is Billy Bones. And like, oh, that's fun. And other people know him as Bill. And it's like, this is neat. This is
Chapter
cool.
13, verse 2. The firstborn male of everything on the planet belongs to God.
You can't look at this as a logical person.
In the study Bible, it
Yeah,
says
yes,
this made sense
please.
to the Jews because God ransomed them from Egypt.
Sure. That makes sense.
Verse 3, don't use yeast.
Oh, God. Why? What is wrong with yeast?
Ooh. You should read verse 4 of chapter 13 because it does a thing that we both like.
Verse 4
Verse 4.
of chapter 13.
Yeah.
This day came ye out in the month of Abib.
That's it. Verse 4?
That's all of verse 4.
In my book, he says the name of the thing in the thing.
What thing and what thing?
Exodus chapter 13, verse 4.
Exodus. Today in the month of Abib, you are leaving.
Oh, mine misled me. Well, I'll read you mine.
I'm sorry. That was very anticlimactic.
That's fine. That happens. We're doing this live. This day in early spring will be the anniversary of your Exodus.
They did the thing.
Yeah.
Exodus. Movement of your people. Wah-na-na.
Verse 5, God is like, hey, I remember how I promised you stuff. I promised that I remember that.
Oh, man. Is he going to fulfill a God promise or is he just
He's reminding
re-promising?
you of the God
He's
promise.
re-promising the same promise.
Well, he's not re-promising it. He's just reminding you that he did make a God promise.
String on my finger.
Verses 6 and 7. I cannot stress this enough. No yeast.
Holy shit.
No yeast in the house.
God damn it.
No
dude.
yeast in your body.
We haven't gone 3 verses.
No yeast ever.
It just keeps going. Verse 6. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread.
Leavened.
It's got EA. All right, I'm sorry. And I've just had a whole beer in like a second. Shall eat unleavened bread, and in the 7th day shall be a feast to the Lord. Verse 7. Unleavened bread shall not be eaten 7 days, and there shall be no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leavened seed with thee in thy quarters. Verse 8. And thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, this is done. Because of that, I swear to God, if I see any leavened bread in this motherfucking house, I'm going to burn this motherfucker to the ground because what did I done said? Make me say it one more again now. Make me say it one more again. About that unleavened bread, goddamn. I said, goddamn. Unleavened. How leavened? Ain't got no lave in it. Ain't got no lave. Lave potato chips is a no-no.
Verse 8, my notes just
If
says...
you are at a sporting event, you shall not do the lave.
You have to talk about how cool God is and tell your kids.
One more again, no leavened bread now. How many more times is he going to mention the yeast?
I don't remember. I was in a different galaxy when I made these notes.
I want to be in a different galaxy right now because this one is not great.
It's not.
Ugh. I get why David Bowie wrote about space so often.
Yeah.
Just anywhere else.
Yeah. Verse 11. Don't forget to think about God when you finally get to the land that he promised you 1,000 years ago after the whole slavery thing and ignoring you. But then he got you to the land. Verse 11. Chapter 13, verse 11.
So what about verse 11 makes you want to talk about it so much?
How long it's been since God made his God promise.
Ooh, and you know what's fun is I have
You have the years.
So if you have the chapter, I can find that real fucking fast. If you don't, I can find it not as fast, and we can cut this so it's fast.
Patreon.com/WNTT.
Give us money.
It's been 1,000 years since God made his God promise.
Yeah, this only goes back to 1921 BC. It's
Okay.
Absolute earliest.
So verse 12, God owns all the firstborn of everything.
Sure, why not? All right, fine, okay. Okay, fine.
And this is where we get into some weird shit. So,
oh, this is where.
Yeah.
This is the point.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. Okay, so God owns all the firstborn everything. Right?
Watered down coffee from Chick-fil-A, which we are not sponsored by.
We're not sponsored. If you want to, you can. I don't think you would.
I want that honey roasted barbecue sauce.
God demands a sacrifice to
Getting ready.
pay for the sin of all the first. So it's so confusing. So God owns all the firstborn things. All the firstborn things are sinful, right?
What?
Yeah, all things are sinful.
Okay, fine. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to. This is just it's so. I made notes and I can't get through this.
I don't blame you. This is terrible. I'm listening.
He says you have to. Okay, I'm gonna really try, guys. I'm gonna really try. Okay.
You can do it.
There are different. There are different perceptions of this demand based on your perception of who and what the time period was and what animals were valuable and who God is. So,
What?
God demands that everybody bring their sinful firstborn donkey to him.
Ooh, does it say he asses in
It
my book?
might.
Give me some joy out of
It
this.
might.
15?
We're in 1313.
There's a board game me and my family used to play called 1313.
Dead End Drive.
Ah,
That's the best game ever. I play that every Christmas.
Ah, dude, you play every Christmas.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna hang out with you this Christmas.
Dude,
Fuck
yeah.
that. Okay, 13. Okay. And every firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with a lamb, and if thou this is unreal.
But you got the ass.
Got an ass in there. The ass is that's something. I'll take it. I'll take an ass.
So basically, God demands that you bring the firstborn donkey to him of your flock and say, we know how this is not a pure animal. So
Okay. Yep.
you're
Okay.
required to sacrifice a lamb, which is pure, to atone for the donkey's sin.
I can kind of get how Christians see this as Jesus now.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That is a little. It's confusing.
Yeah.
It's poorly written.
So weird. So the thing about it is, depending on like translations and how you read it, you can either take that to mean that there's two different things. Either donkeys were incredibly valuable during this period of time. They were the main work animal. Only the super wealthy had actual horses. They didn't have camels. They just had donkeys. So either God is saying, I'm requiring a very valuable sacrifice from you, which you can avoid by sacrificing something innocent to stand in for the thing that's valuable. Or some translations seem to insinuate that donkeys are just dirty, gross things that should die.
Wow.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of clarity.
That makes real quick side note to modern times.
Yeah.
That makes the racial slur mulatto much more offensive.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what that term comes from?
Where it comes from? No.
Do you know what it means? Mulatto is a term used to. It was more popular in the 70s and 80s, but it was used to describe a person of a mixed background.
Yeah.
Who is, you know, half black and half white per se. Let's
right.
just say.
Yeah, let's just throw out a random ratio.
Like if that ever happened.
Right. Yeah.
And if anyone ever called that person that.
Right.
Then that would be offensive.
Right. Yeah.
Because it is a term that is used to. It was originally used to describe mules. Because it's a horse and a donkey mating, but a mule cannot mate and procreate. So it's a dirty, dirty animal. So you call it it's a mulatto. Isn't that fun? Isn't that a fun term?
I just like knowing that jaywalking is a dirty term.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
I hate the world.
Yeah, it's not great. But we have beer.
You do. I drank all mine. Yeah.
It hurts.
So basically, nobody can agree whether or not how this goes, but the long and the short of it, you look like Lenny Kravitz, and I like it.
I want to get away.
Not that song. Any other song.
I want to fly away.
Any other song.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
He's written so many good songs, but that's not one of
Name
them.
one.
Taxi Driver's good.
I don't know a lot of Lenny Kravitz music, turns out. I just know that.
It's an old one. It's like it's early from his career.
I think I need to get into early Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah, no, he's genuinely writes good songs. Basically, the point is you have to sacrifice your donkey. Some people think it's because they were dirty animals, and some people think that it was because they were valuable and it was supposed to be showing your willingness to sacrifice the
I
creator.
was actually about to ask, like, this is a time when we made the whole comment about the polyester blend shirts, where it's like you don't have that much.
Exactly.
So, like, you're sacrificing a fucking donkey.
A workhorse.
Like, that is a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot to ask. That's basically like nowadays being like, oh, and then every year you just burn your best car.
Yeah.
You just burn it to the ground.
Yeah.
And if you can't burn your car, you give your neighbor, like, enough money for a new car.
Right.
Like $3-4 grand.
Yeah.
And you burn their car.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy fucking shit. You have to get rid of, like, a whole ass
And
part
that's
of your
why
life.
you're allowed to sacrifice the lamb to stand in for it. Because like there's
the
the
lamb's
whole
like 4 meals, I guess.
maybe.
Like if you have a family, then maybe it's like 2 meals.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
1.
Yeah.
So you get rid of the lamb, and it's like, oh, but we took a hit, but it's a hit we could also, because it's a lamb, so it's a baby.
Right.
So we got other babies, and they'll grow up and they'll
Exactly.
produce more. I don't like how much I'm thinking about this and like trying to make sense of it.
The whole point of it.
Yeah, I know. The beer helps.
Yeah, it does.
Every time I'm on the way to record, I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to get as emotionally distraught today. It's just not going to happen. I have a lot of faith in myself to be able to, keep it together. I'm not going to get mad. This book is just a book, but it's not just a book.
It's not.
It is
so much more.
It is so much more, and it fucking shouldn't be. How did this become the bedrock of our society? How is this? Like, it's just all. It's okay. All right, let's keep going. I'm fine.
Verses 14 and 15. Your kids are going to ask what the fuck is wrong with you.
Wait, what?
And when they say you do the shit, they're going to have questions. And you're going to tell them it's because God is super cool. And he forced a man to torture the Israelites until God had a big enough boner to murder children. God is so cool.
I don't like how much that relates to now.
I know.
I don't like how much that reminds me of like being a kid and asking my parents why we have to go to church on Sunday. Hey,
And in the future, your children will ask you, what does this all mean? Then you will tell them, with mighty power, the Lord brought us out of Egypt from our slavery. Pharaoh refused to let us go.
No, that's not true. God made Pharaoh that way.
So the Lord killed all the firstborn males throughout the land of Egypt, both people and animals.
This just like, what?
That is why we now offer all the firstborn males to the Lord, except that the firstborn sons are always redeemed.
Sometimes you got to tell me to shut up so we can get to the end of a story, because then I just get even more mad and I have real thoughts.
I know, but I want those real thoughts.
But sometimes you gotta be like, shut up, we're getting to the end, and then you're gonna get real mad.
I didn't realize that was going to make you so mad.
Well, because it's like, I don't know how to say this in 2019, but I love kids. Kids are super great. They're awesome.
I mean, you're allowed to just think that kids are awesome because, like,
I know, but like ever since, like I feel like ever since what's weird is like the outing of priests as pedophiles, certain priests as pedophiles.
That's different.
I know,
That's different.
But like I grew up in a time when that was like just happening. Like I was 6 in '98.
Yeah,
when that started to come out.
Yeah,
and that's a very early time. For a kid to be exposed to pedophilia. I think as a concept.
No, 100%. Yeah,
because you're not even aware of what sexuality is.
Right. Yeah,
and now you have to understand that there's bad versions of it.
Right,
and that people could feel sex towards kids who aren't kids, and that is too much, I think.
It's a whole thing.
Especially when it was like everywhere in the news and like they were talking about all the time, like, oh, pedophiles, priests, and you're like, I have a priest. Like, is he bad now too? And it's confusing. Yeah. And then Mr. Rogers dies like 6 years after that. So, and Mr. Rogers, I think I fucking will die on the fucking hill that is defending Mr. Rogers. I think he's so great. And he loved kids and he loved people, but he loved kids because he knew what it was like to be a kid. Yeah. And like kids are great. And kids asking your parents, hey, why are you killing this lamb? Oh, because we need the donkey. And to a kid, you go, but why do you were going to kill a donkey? And it's like, yeah, we were going to kill a donkey, but the lamb is more innocent than the donkey. And the kid doesn't understand anything you just said other than lamb and donkey. Yeah. You're like, what do you mean by innocent? I don't understand what that term even means. These kids are coming from such a beautiful place. And like this whole book is nonsense and doesn't make and it's bullshit. And it's just like these are bad and dumb stories. Like you're telling them in a bad way and they're stupid, which is why I love The Prince of Egypt, because it's like, oh man, look at this story. And it's like an actually good story because it takes out God of like 80%. It only leaves God in the burning bush. Yeah. And everything else is Moses, and he's not a fucking like stage fright pussy. Yeah. And there's no Aaron in that movie at all. Like if he is, he's like a side character. Like, hey, I'm Aaron. Okay, I'm gonna go because it doesn't work for the story. I'm out of here. Bye. So kids understand shit. Yeah. And this is the most accurate part of the entire Bible. Yeah. Where it's like, your kid's gonna ask. Like, this is like one of those fucking instructional videos when you start working at like a grocery store. And it's like, you may ask yourself, well, what will my kids say? Blah, 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 if I'm doing this. And it's just like, what the fuck? This feels like that fucking episode of SpongeBob with the Krabby Patty episode.
It does.
With the fucking training video.
I left something out.
Okay, what was it?
If you don't want to sacrifice the lamb, you can just break the donkey's neck.
You could have left that. You could have just not said that at all. You just realized you left it out. You could have just gone, Dad, I don't have to say that because that'll give him more thoughts.
Important information.
Wow.
It's important information that contributes to the fucking insanity that is this book. I know.
Oh my God. Damned shit. Fucking what the titties ass is. You like.
And I get shit for swearing like a fucking 5-year-old.
I get it now. I should stop making fun of you.
I'm fine with it.
This is a stupid fucking piece of shaz tip butthole, you poopy bunch.
Chapter 13, verse 17. Plot twist.
No plot twist. No plot twist. No, I'm not
God
ready.
thinks the Israelites are pussies.
What?
And they're leaving Egypt, but the easy route is too closely guarded by enemies because apparently everybody hates the Israelites, like in the world.
That actually tracks.
And
people are the biggest
if they get scared, God's worried that they'll just go back to Egypt because it was so good for them there.
They were having a blast.
So he takes them the long way.
Forgive me, pretty baby, but I always take the long way home.
And here's a question I wrote in all caps.
Okay, what is it?
Could he just force them to be brave? He forced the Pharaoh to refuse against all human self-preservation instincts to just continue to torture these people. He could just be like, hey, Israelites, brave now, don't worry. Verse 21 and 22, God guides them as a pillar of cloud in the day and a pillar of fire at night.
I get why atheists hate God. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Makes
Thank you
sense.
for getting there with me.
It took this long. Only 2 books.
One book and a half.
Fuck. All right.
So, chapter 14, God explains his plan to Moses, which is more or less, I'm going to make you go a super weird route that looks dumb, and then Pharaoh's going to think you're lost, and then I'm going to force him to chase you so I can fuck with him one last time. And then I'm going to be able to look the coolest that I've looked so far.
Which is not at all.
You guys, I am so cool.
Okay.
And I quote, chapter 14, verse 4. I have planned this so that I will receive great glory at the expense of Pharaoh.
Yep.
And something that I wrote in my notes that I was just thinking about last night. Didn't God make all these people?
And I will harden Pharaoh's heart and he will pursue them, but I will gain glory for myself. Fuck yourself, you fucking fuck.
God made all these people. Why is he so fucking, why does he have a hard on for the Jews and he just wants to fuck everybody else up?
I don't know, man, but I just found out there's 40 chapters of Exodus. So
yeah.
We're not even halfway through.
Yeah, but
Exodus.
that's 10 less than Genesis.
That is true. Are there 30 in Leviticus?
Probably not. That's probably, why are you doing this to yourself?
Because I just need to know. There's 27 in Leviticus.
All right, Leviticus is quick. Cool.
Numbers. How many in numbers?
You're going to be sad again.
Yeah, I am. It goes back up to 36. Deuteronomy. 34. All right, so it gets shorter and shorter, kind of. No, this doesn't make any sense why God is this angry with the Jews. And it's, okay, so if you're looking at it from a story writing perspective, which we have now in 2019 because of how many stories exist just in general.
Right.
If you're counting movies and
TV
books,
and
TV,
yeah,
just all kinds of different like plays.
Yeah.
Like there are books that became plays that became movies that became TV shows. That is a lot of different ways to tell this same exact story.
Lot, yes.
So we have the benefit of hindsight in storytelling and learning about this, and it's very, very common. Where I guess it wasn't. No, it just really hasn't been like in 100 years ago. Like storytelling was becoming common sense.
Yeah,
and so you have the benefit of that, and you're looking at this from a story writing perspective, and you're looking at the character of God in the Bible so far in the Old Testament up to chapter 14 of Exodus. He is an asshole.
Yeah.
He is one of the kids in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that doesn't get picked and wants to, go fucking jump in a pool of chocolate, or like it's such an unlikable character if you're not viewing this as a religious text.
Yeah.
Which we are trying to look at it objectively.
Right.
And people look at this as a holy text. So you just go, oh, well, God has a reason, and I'm not worthy to know his reasoning.
But if you question it, it becomes fucking devastatingly obvious that
which
this
you
is
should
insanity.
be able to question any religion at
Yes.
all, ever, at any time.
100%.
Even if you're in that religion. I think people outside of a religion questioning it make less sense than a person who's in the religion. Like you're an atheist now.
Right.
But you grew up Christian.
Yes.
So if you were born and your parents were like, whatever, just do whatever you want, we don't care.
And I was like...
then you became an atheist.
Yeah.
Without really learning
right
about this, you'd be a cocksucker. You'd be an asshole. No one would want to hang out with you. You'd be a fucking terrible person. You'd be awful at parties.
Yeah.
People would be talking about the new Matchbox 20 album, and you'd be like, oh, but do you guys know that God is a cook? You'd be like, dude, Quin, get the fuck out of here. And they'd be like, okay, whatever. But you grew up with this.
Yeah.
And I did too, but I didn't read this goddamn book. So I can make God whatever I want.
Right.
God could be a fucking unicorn eating fucking candy corn on a sky made of popcorn. 3 different kinds of corn.
There's a lot of orange in there, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff, a lot of orange. And so I could just change, and then, maybe I don't like God like that next week. So you know what he's going to be? Garfield.
Yeah.
I'm tired of that. You know what I want God to be now? Rock. God's going to be my brother.
Yeah.
I like my older brother a lot. He's a neat guy, and I'm 5, so So God's not my brother, and whatever he tells me to do, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
Oh wait, my brother's being a dog and I don't like it. I don't want to do the God. You're not God anymore. The swimming pool's God now.
Yeah.
Like, as a child, anything could be God if you don't
Right.
understand it and you don't read this fucking book. But like, oh, God's such an asshole.
He's
And
a
it's-
gigantic piece of shit.
It's so hard to say that to religious people without them.
Oh, I know.
They're gonna take it so personally.
Well, because they also like they assign their value as like Christians to the value of God, and they have chosen to gloss over a lot of the shit that we're talking about.
I don't blame them though.
When I'm making notes and I'm like in this apartment, just like, oh my God, this fucking crazy shit. Like, it's because like you said it, and now I will say it too, and I get why people cherry pick.
It makes sense.
You have to. You
ah.
absolutely. If you want to create a world in which you have a God that takes care of you, you have to skip a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
You have to.
Which I'm actually really happy I'm doing this show. As drunk and sad and angry as I am. Because, again, from an outside perspective, who also grew up Christian, which is such a weird but also very common perspective.
Oh, yeah.
I'm reading this book. And so all the obvious out of the side, I thought Noah's Ark was like a fourth of the book. I thought, that Jesus was the entire, like basically the whole book. And, like little things, sprinklings here and there. Like I thought Moses was like just a little brrr.
Yeah.
I thought the Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat was just like a little brrr, just a little sprinkling of a story. And I thought it was really like Adam and Eve, Noah's Ark, Jesus, Revelations. I honestly God thought like if someone asked me, I'd be like, oh, those are the four
core stories of the book.
Yeah, and the rest of it's like gonna be lessons. I had honestly got no idea.
Yeah.
And so now I'm reading it and I'm figuring out like why there are so many different subsections of Christianity in general. And where it's like, oh my God, like Presbyterians and Lutherans and Roman Catholic and Irish Catholic and Baptist and Southern Baptist and like all these different kind of, and there's, dude, honest, probably like hundreds more.
Oh, yeah.
That I can't even.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that you just don't
Those
know
are just
about.
those are just the churches that I went to.
Right, yeah.
Like, and I did not read this book. And it's just, and I dozed off and thought about, superheroes or girls during church anytime I went to church. So, like, what's the point of church if you're a 14-year-old boy and there's a girl sitting in front of you and you can smell her hair? So that's all you could think about now. You're just like, oh, a girl exists near me because I'm 13 or 14 and it's one of my, it's Sunday morning. I got up early. I don't want to be here. I want to go watch football. It's fucking fall and I have homework that I haven't done yet. But hey, you know what? I'm here. And you know what else is great? There's a girl who just happens to be around me.
Yeah.
That isn't my mom or my cousin.
Yeah.
So this is nice. This is a good day now. Church should be abolished. Get rid of churches.
Get rid of all
Get rid of
churches.
the idea of church.
Just make them pay taxes.
Yeah! Pay taxes, you fucks! I gotta pay taxes! But you believe there's a floaty man on a cloud so you don't have to? Go fuck yourself!
Depending on how your book is translated,
Okay, I got two of them in front of me.
either
Where are we at again?
this is chapter 14, verse like 5-ish.
Okay.
Either the Pharaoh realizes that the Jews aren't just leaving for 3 days to have their party, they're actually just gone.
Okay.
Or they get very angry because as soon as the Jews leave, they realize how much free labor they just gave up. And they're like, no, we need them back.
Okay. So I got Big Boy, and they got New Kid on the Block in front of me. So I'm going to do 14:5 in King James. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people, and they said, why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? And then we're going over here to New Kid on the Block. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said, what have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services.
So I'm going to read you
actually,
mine.
These are the same.
Those are very similar. Yeah, I think The NLV is interesting because it's ultra modern, so it's a fun way to read it, but it's not the most accurate to the rest of the translations.
So crazy how New International and New Living
are totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. So you do remember how when Moses first came to Egypt or to Pharaoh, he was just like, hey, we just need to leave for 3 days to have a God party in the desert.
Yeah. Yeah, the God party.
Yeah. When word reached the king of Egypt, the Israelites were not planning to return to Egypt after 3 days. Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. What have we done letting all these people get away? So apparently, Pharaoh took it to mean that God was so angry about the God party not happening, he was willing to murder every firstborn child. But they were still going to come back after the party.
This is so confusing and weird.
It's so strange.
Oh, man.
So either way, God causes Pharaoh to be furious and go after the Jews. That is God in fucking interfering. That happens.
Yep.
Verse 7.
Hey, do you need to check on the 4K thing?
Oh, I'm not shooting 4K right now. It's 1080.
Okay, cool.
I was just saying at some point we need to go back to 4K
Amen.
because it looks so much better.
It's your phone, man. You do whatever you want.
Verse 7.
Yeah.
This might be my favorite verse in our discussion today.
Ooh, tattoo?
No, it's just stupid.
Okay. All right.
Pharaoh took 600 of the best chariots and also all of the chariots.
I read that as the exact same time as you were saying it. I was like, wait, what? Wait, what? What? No, but okay. What? What? Oh, you cheat me in New Kid on the Block. Was that 6, right?
7.
Okay, no, 7. Okay, wait. Yep, no, it's the same. It's dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. He took 600 of the best chariots along with all the other chariots. Minus your 4 fastest ships. I'm sorry? Your 4 fastest. You sent in every direction for Wesley. Oh, yes. Well, obviously, every ship but those 4. Of course. My dear, Buttercup. This is so dumb. That was great. Oh, my God.
So each of the chariots had a commander.
We're getting into the logistics of the...
No, it just mentions that every one of the chariots had somebody driving it because that would blow your mind.
They didn't say that in this one, but it says it in this one. It didn't say it in New Kid, but it says it in Big Boy. He took 600 chosen chariots and all the other chariots of Egypt and captains over every one of them.
Yeah, because what are you going to do? Just latch a chariot to a horse and be like, figure it out.
Yeah! Go!
Maybe that'll be the lucky one.
Go, girl!
The Lord continues to strengthen Pharaoh's resolve because he's a piece of shit.
Why?
Verse 9. Seriously, you guys, all the chariots.
This does an asterisk between on the word and between horses and chariots. All the horses and chariots of Pharaoh.
They see the Jews see the Pharaoh and all of his armies approaching, and they freak out. Understandably.
Yeah.
And they go to Moses and they're like, dude, we told you we didn't want to go with you. What the fuck are you doing? Like, we don't want to be here. We asked you to leave us alone. And what the fuck? And then God says, and I quote, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to move.
I'm not going to say anything because whatever I say is like...
God says he'll harden Pharaoh's heart, and then he'll chase them, even though he obviously fucking shouldn't. And then he's going to kill all of them. And he will receive great glory at their expense. Then they will know that I am the Lord.
Bitch.
But also, how? Because he murders everybody, so who's going to tell this story?
Bitch. He's an asshole. I hate him.
Then the pillar of smoke that was guiding the Jews moves behind them so that it's in between the Jews and the Egyptians.
Well, now they don't have a compass.
To cloud the Egyptians' view.
Okay. Okay, fine. Yep.
And also the Egyptians were close enough that the Jews could see them, but not so close that they could do anything that same day, so they all bed down for the night.
Right.
And then the pillar of cloud turns into a pillar of fire, like it does.
You know, it happens.
But the Egyptians were in darkness, not in light, because it was God.
Oh, that was that page of darkness.
No, that was a different one.
Different darkness. Ignore me.
And then there was wind all night and dried up water. And then Moses raised up his staff and was like, I did a God thing. And then they were able to walk across the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And then they walked through, and the Egyptians followed them because apparently it was darkness, but not so much darkness that they couldn't see. And then it was also darkness, but not so much darkness they couldn't see, but enough darkness that they couldn't see that they were walking in between two pillars of water. And then the Jews get through, and then Moses undoes the water thing, and all the Egyptians die, and all the Jews are impressed.
Oh, is this the Red Sea?
Yeah.
He's part of the Red Sea?
Yeah.
What verse is that? I wanna read it. I wanna just read it with my eyeballs in King James when he parts the Red
Well,
Sea.
verse 16 is when God tells him to part the sea, but he doesn't actually do it until verse 20, which is when the wind just blows all night. I just can't have emotions about this. I hate it so much.
Why can't you have emotions about it? Because this is dumb?
I'm so angry.
You're not making any sort of angry sounds, which
I know.
is scary for me as the only other person in this room with you. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Tell me about it.
So the Egyptians approach 600,000 people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. I mean, you know what's funny, too?
And
is
all
that-
those people see the Egyptians and they lose their shit. So the Egyptians, like, we're talking about flat land. They're not that fucking far away. And the people freak out and they're like, what are we going to do? And God's like, don't worry about it. They're like, that hasn't worked out so far, but okay. And then they fucking take a goddamn nap because that seems like a good goddamn idea. And the God's like, oh, fire pillar now, but the Egyptians can't see, but they can kind of. And then there's wind all night. Moses doesn't go fucking bah. There's just fucking wind. And then the fucking water's just pushed out of the way. But it took 12 fucking hours to do it. And then they walk through the fucking shit. And then the Egyptians are behind them. And they're fucking there, but they're not. Then they can't see shit, but they can see shit. And so they know there's a path, but they don't know what's on either side of them. And then the Jews get through. And then God's like, fire pillar's gone. And the Egyptians are like, fuck, there's water here. And then it makes no sense. I hate it.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You okay?
No.
No. It's bad. It's real bad. It's like so bad. It's like the worst.
In what world
Yeah.
do you have two armies facing off against each other?
Yeah. One of let's throw a number out there, 600,000.
Just a random number.
Army of like 60.
Yeah.
They said the number.
There's 600 of the best chariots, but we don't know how many mediocre chariots he had.
There's no way he has another
599,400 chariots.
There's no way. That is it. That is, I mean.
But no, the thing that makes me the angriest is that, number one, we don't get like the thing that's in the book that the people act like is in the book, where Moses walks up to the water. He's like, "Part." They just take a nap, and when they wake up, it's windy and there's less water. Like, that's what happens. And also, the Egyptians are in such darkness that they can't see what's going on.
But they can see.
But they can see enough to walk.
Well, that's actually I can explain that away.
Okay.
I can.
Yeah.
You know how in like Nintendo 64 and earlier GameCube games, like that era.
Oh, like the poor rendering with the short draw distance.
Yeah, where like your character had was a light source.
Yeah.
But not a big light source when you got to like
Sure.
the spooky, scary
Yeah.
levels. So like you had a shadow, but your your waist also cast light, so you could see about 5 feet in front of you.
Yeah.
I think only Ramses had that for this part, but it was like a little bit exaggerated. Let's say 20 feet ahead of him. But nobody else in his army of 600 chariots plus like the bad chariots. Ooh, that's a good band name. We are the 600 good chariots and the other chariots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so he had that. He had an exaggerated version of just
the waist light.
The waist light.
Yeah.
The 1999 waist light.
Right.
And no one else had it. So they just kind of followed him. And since it was so dark, they could
But
see
if it's
his
that
light.
dark, then how many? It's not going to. His little waist light reaches 20 feet. It's not going to reach 600 chariots back.
It's not, but it also will. Because you know how when...
Oh.
Listen, this is science, all right? I'm a scientist. Hold on, wait.
Life.
I'm a scientist.
Finds
all right.
a way.
So, life finds a way. No. So, you know when it's super dark out and then like you're driving down a road and you like realize there are no streetlights and then like 2 miles ahead you can see one streetlight, but it's very, very dim and you can't really see anything, but you can see that there is a light.
Sure.
It's like that. Where you can't see what's going on, but you know to follow that little tiny light way, way ahead of you. But it's so dark that you can't see, but you can kind of see that.
That's fair.
You know how much of a stretch that is to make this story make sense?
I have another stretch for you.
What's that?
Have you ever stood
Keep
next
in mind,
to water?
I'm still a scientist.
Yeah, no, you're still a scientist, definitely. Yeah, 100%. You know how, like, when water gets pushed away with wind, you feel some little water droplets on your face?
Ooh, when it gets pushed away, you wouldn't. When it gets pushed towards you, you would. Science.
No, but, like, if it's a large thing, like it's doing that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big
So, like,
thing.
black-
Big thing, yeah, absolutely. I'm a
Yeah.
scientist.
And also, there's so much wind,
How much wind is there?
enough wind that it pushes enough water away that when the water comes back, it drowns 1,000 people. Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't even drown them. It would crush them immediately.
Do you think you would not hear the entire time you're walking?
Okay, now as a scientist, I'm going to say you will not be able to hear that because, as it was previously stated in the Bible, it was dark, so you wouldn't be able to hear it. Go ahead, argue that logic. Give it to me. I'm a scientist. Let me see how you could possibly argue that sound logic. It's concrete.
It's
Really unbreakable unless you have a sledgehammer, which is, hey, sound and sight don't have anything to do with each other. You can hear it even when it's dark, which I gotta say, I'm not a scientist anymore. I'm out of here. Fuck this shit. Now I'm a crazy guy.
Jesus
Here we
fucking
go.
Christ, man.
This whole book. This whole fucking book.
Chapter 15's a goddamn musical number.
Finally, I was wondering when the Bollywood... oh my God, it is a musical number.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is like a whole, wow.
Yeah.
What is, this is,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I thought that was a joke.
Nope. I don't make jokes.
You don't make jokes. I think you're making jokes, and then I look at this book, and there's like stanzas, and oh, wow. Oh man. I was just getting used to the weird man every time.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, this book cannot surprise me. And then it just drops in a fucking Bollywood musical number. Like, it is noticeably different looking.
Yeah.
Than the rest of it just looks like a book.
Yeah.
And now this looks like goddamn Edgar Allan Poe writing. The font is smaller. It is the number, it's organized. Fuck! The Bollywood interlude. Hosanna, hey, Zanna, 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 ho. Zanna, hey, Zanna, ho. Zanna. Hey, JC, will you die for me? Zanna, ho, Zanna, hey, superstar. I want you to know that's going to happen a lot more when we get to the actual story of
I'm
Jesus
fine
Christ.
for that.
I'm going to sing all the songs
That's
from
fine.
Jesus Christ Superstar.
They go 3 days without water.
They went 3 days without water?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're complaining about it, and God doesn't know why.
Whew, okay. Okay. Yep.
And then they find water. But it's
man, real quick. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I didn't see 26 for what's that? 14. And the Lord said unto Moses, "Stretch out thine hands over the sea." That's Kanye West. Stretch your hands, Father.
oh shit.
Father, stretch your hands. That's the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
There you go.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Kanye, for the biblical reference. And literally nothing else because you're terrible now, and I don't like you. Can't get into that.
Let's not get into that.
Nope,
No, it's a different show.
Different. Don't have the time. Patreon. I'll talk about Kanye.
So the water's bitter and they can't drink it.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
I don't even
I
know.
looked. I tried to find something that nobody can agree on anything because this didn't happen. So
I'm
they
sure
can't.
this tries to make sense of it, but then I got to bounce back and forth between
No,
other verses.
there's no
nothing.
No.
Where's that at?
It's chapter 22. Oh, I'm sorry, chapter 14, verse 22.
Yep. Okay. Sure. Yep. Just sour.
Yeah, I just.
Fine. Okay. Fine.
So God's like, oh my God, just with the constant complaining. So he goes to Moses and he's like, pick that stick up and throw it in the water and it'll make it better.
Even God's like, oh, these Jews complain a lot.
Yeah.
Am I right? It's like, wow, dude, come on. That we were your guys. No, you guys are my guys. Like, I love you guys, but man, could you just like calm down with the complaining?
It's just nonstop.
Jesus Christ.
So let's just get hung up on the fact for a second that throwing a stick in the water makes it drinkable.
Yeah, I was gonna try to script past that, but yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yep, it's weird. But also, a stick was a snake. Like,
It's true. That's right.
now that stick also just parted the waters. Like a similar,
Different
the
stick.
Same stick that
Different-
was
no,
a
like you
snake.
found a branch on the ground.
Okay, but the same stick that was a snake also just parted waters.
Yeah.
That same stick.
Yeah.
and
You're
then
right.
God got a new stick.
Yeah. They
Put
found.
that in the water. Just
He's
God's
such
like,
a child. He's like, oh my God, new stick.
Throw it in the water. Hey, water's good.
So then in verse 26, God lays out the rules that he has for them to test their faithfulness to him. They have to listen to the voice of God, and they have to do what's right in his eyes and obey his commands. Then he will not make them suffer the diseases that he sent to the Egyptians, because
Oh,
he
did
is
we
the
skip
Lord that
past the
hears you.
song?
Yeah, we're not going through the song.
You don't want to go through the song?
No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No, yeah,
I
we're not
listened
doing-
to.
I read it.
I don't know. It's not. It's
no,
not.
No, it's just.
It's just.
Thank
God.
you, God, for being a God that God's with a sword and God murders. And thank you, God, for being a God. Thank you for being a God.
I did listen to, like the things on YouTube of people singing this exact song
Yeah.
word for word. Like everything else we've read in this Bible, it is painful to listen to.
Yeah.
So yep. Okay. So we're just on to 16 now, talking about.
Oh, well, we're in verse 26 of chapter 14 now. Or 15, sorry.
Oh yeah. So you just
Yo,
literally
yeah,
went
yeah.
right
We
past the
skipped it
song
entirely, yeah.
and just went. Oh,
Yeah.
I see. I thought we were still in 14.
Oh, yeah. No,
okay.
no, 15.
Yep. So 22 is like, oh, the water's bad. Fuck
Yeah,
you. Okay,
yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And then in 26, he gives them all their rules. But I enjoy the fact that he's like, if you listen to me, then I won't torture you like I tortured the Egyptians. As though that was ever on the table before.
Also, this particular God promise is not promising.
No.
So far, I don't trust it.
No. That's the end of chapter 15. Chapter 16, they haven't had food for a while.
The wilderness of sin?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So it's considered a sin to doubt God, and they constantly
okay.
doubt him, and they're in the wilderness.
Oh man, so this whole technically this show is a sin.
Yeah.
What we're doing is sinful.
Oh, I personally am committing the only unforgivable sin.
You personally?
Mm-hmm.
By calling God a cunt ass fuck?
No. Well, that you're very bold about just committing what you assume is the only unforgivable.
I don't know. I haven't read this book.
No, the
It
only
seems like I should be like. I feel like if there was going to be an unforgivable sin, it's like don't make fun of me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess so. Like, we're going off New Testament rules, right? Like, because
Okay.
that's what I was raised with.
Okay.
So like, God is very forgiving, and you can curse him and say you're sorry, and it's fine as long as you mean it or whatever. But the only unforgivable sin is attempting to lead people away from the Lord.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So this, our interactions are sinful.
Oh yeah, I'm going to hell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I actually had a moment of I know we're getting off the fucking topic. And
It's a weird episode. It's fine.
Yeah, it's been weird the whole time. I had a weird revelation recently where I was talking to a Christian friend of mine, and in this moment I realized whether or not I believe in any sort of deity or spiritual entity existing to create human beings. In this conversation, I had a hard revelation that I've never actually been a Christian, and it was for this reason. So we're talking about all kinds of stuff. I really enjoy talking to this person a lot, and I don't want to ever shit on them or name them in any sort of capacity.
Please don't,
because it'll feel bad, especially on the show. Yeah. But it was actually a really interesting conversation, and they told me they made a remark about how they want to bring me to Jesus.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and then we kept talking, and then I brought that back. I was like, why do you want to bring me to Jesus? Like, I just want to know, like, curiosity. I'm not like trying to shit on anything you have to say. And they said, well, first off, I don't want you to burn in hell forever, for eternity, right? I know. You could really dissect that the way we dissected this.
Go on. Yeah.
I know. Dude, I'm right there with you. But I held back so hard with that.
I'm proud of you.
But I was like, oh wow. First of all, I guess, I said thank you. Just trying to skirt past it. But like in that moment, I was like, I've honestly, genuinely never felt that way about Christianity and the Lord, our Savior, God, and Jesus Christ. I never felt that way.
Yeah.
I never wanted to convert anybody ever. At any point did I ever really sit down with someone who was like an atheist, and I had even close to the thought of, I want you to be Christian because I don't want you to burn in hell forever. Yeah. Which is a surface level without examining it from the perspective that we are doing this with, is a very nice sentiment.
No, it is. And the thing too is like I've literally had that word for word, that exact thought. Like I've thought about people like when I was younger, and this was in my head. I'd think about people and be like, oh, I don't want them to go to hell.
Which is such a sweet thing, for anybody to think.
Sure,
like that alone, without any sort of like branching that off into your actions or how you actually feel. That sentence verbatim literally is a very sweet.
It's a nice thought.
It's a nice thought. It's what you do with it afterwards. It makes you a bad person. But just thinking, like, especially as a child. Again, going back to how pure kids are, it's like that's such a sweet, beautiful thought for a kid to be like.
I just don't want people to hurt.
I don't want anyone to hurt.
Yeah,
that's so nice. Oh fuck, man!
Why can't we just cut it off there?
Why can't that be it?
Why can't that be the whole religion?
Oh, man, I don't want you to burn in hell forever. So guess what? In my mind, hell isn't real. Guess what? Now you're not gonna
solved.
Burn. Problem solved.
God, we just fixed Christianity?
We fixed it. Adam ruins everything, and we fix everything else.
It's chapter 16. They haven't had food for a while. God's not really sure why they're so upset about that.
Let me make this creature in my image, Brett. It will be hungry and thirsty. Hey, God, we're hungry. What? Why? How? Dude, who did that? You did. I don't remember that happening. It was like 50 pages ago, not even. Yeah. That doesn't sound like me.
No, not at all. And then they say they wish they were back in Egypt because at least they had food there.
Oh, no. God. Oh, man.
They actually bring up a few times that they like specifically did not want to do this.
Oh, man.
And I really enjoy that Moses, like, because if you think about it, in the story, it did say that Moses like went to the leaders of the Hebrews and talked to them, but he didn't like go to the populace at large. So I really enjoy this thing where he's like, God is torturing Pharaoh, and Moses like, yeah, this is our message. This is our purpose. And the people in Egypt are just like, do you guys think we're good? Do you think he's gonna stop soon or steal all that?
I think it's gonna be good eventually, and then I think we're gonna be okay. I think we're gonna just be all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, do you think
we're leaving Egypt? Oh, what? What was that?
Did he just say leaving?
Maybe I'm gonna.
I've got work tomorrow.
I'm gonna. Yeah, no, me too. No,
it's Sunday.
I'm gonna go talk to him.
Okay, yeah, you go. Yeah, You're better with words.
See what he's doing.
Figure it out.
He's gone.
Do you notice how many? Like, there's a lot of people walking right now. Did you pack anything?
Did they pack anything?
Well, I mean, he said pack stuff, but I kind of just like, are we really leaving? Right?
I didn't get the vibe that we were leaving.
I didn't either. That's why I didn't do anything.
Everyone's leaving.
Everyone
though.
is not stopping.
Like when I say everyone,
There's 600,000 people. I'm counting.
that's a lot of. I think that's all of the people.
It might be.
We gotta go.
should go.
We can't stay here.
No. Do you want to pack any food?
Can we? Do we have
I
the
don't
time?
know. I'm sure the God.
They're already gone.
Shit, let's run.
I can almost not see them.
So
I don't want to do this.
God says he'll give him food, but there's a test.
Wow. Okay, what's the test?
So they call a meeting of the entire community of Israel, which keep in mind is 600,000 people.
It is established that it's that exact number. Yep. Okay.
I enjoy Moses trying to shout to 600,000 people.
We had the NFL draft in Nashville in April. 600,000 people showed up and were on one street. And I got to seeing that exact number from not only like street level, but also helicopter view. It's honestly an unfathomable amount of people unless you see it and then they tell you how many are there.
So there's food's going to be there. So don't worry about it. Got to pick food up. And then every sixth day, you have to pick up twice as much as normal. If they don't do that, God will know and they'll fail the test.
It's a stupid fucking test. But okay. All right. Fine.
So Aaron is still talking for Moses at this point.
I forgot about Aaron.
So I think it's verse 11 in chapter 16. Moses like actually pulls him aside. He's like, okay, here's what you want to do.
Wait, so that bit we did earlier?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, man. Wait, what? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chapter 16, verse 9.
Okay. You gotta go back.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Yep. That bit we did,
Accurate.
it's very accurate.
So they get quail at night.
Ooh, that sounds tasty.
In the morning, they get these weird flake things.
What?
The dew dries and there's flakes left. That's breakfast.
Flakes of what?
Question mark.
Where's that at?
Chapter 14, verse 14, chapter 16.
And the dew that lay was gone up. Behold, upon the face of the wilderness, there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoarfrost on the ground. I hate how I just keep finding things in my Bibles. It's a Bible bookmark. But like this one has inspirational quotes. It's not like Big Boy with their cute ribbons. Oh, okay, 16.
14.
Fucking shit. I don't know what a hoardew is.
No one does.
Hoarfrost. HOAR frost. Hoarfrost. Oh yeah, we have the Bible dictionary. Man, we keep saying we're not Bible scholars, but like
We're getting there.
yeah, this is about as close as you can get without being professionally educated by people.
It's not in the book.
Shit. Well, is that the King James Bible
Dictionary?
version?
You'd think it would do all the stuff, right?
Yeah, but this is a lot of book.
Well, read your thing while I look.
14. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared. What? You know what? Fine. Flakes. They're eating flakes. Corn flakes, bran flakes. Fucking
Douchebag Bible really gets
flakes.
all up on its own dick. And it's like, trying to figure out what this stuff is really flies in the face of God's magic. Even if you could figure it out, you couldn't figure it out. And even if you could, it wouldn't matter because God did it. And also, there's nothing that naturally occurs that just doesn't grow every seventh day. So obviously, magic. God's
It's just
magic.
insecurity punishing curiosity.
Yeah.
Stupid.
So they're supposed to collect 2 quarts every day. And they're told to only collect that much. And nobody listens. And some people collect too much and some people collect too little. But it doesn't matter because the people that collect too much only have exactly enough that they need, and the people that collect too little have exactly as much as they need. But then God's like, hey, don't try to keep any overnight, and if you do, it'll go bad. And people are like, what's this motherfucker know? So they try to keep it overnight, and then they wake up and it has maggots in it.
Maggots is food in the apocalypse.
It's true. And they're not allowed to work on the Sabbath day. So on the sixth day, there's twice as much food as normal, and they're told to collect twice as much as normal and cook what they're going to cook for the next day because they're not allowed to do any work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people go out and get food on the seventh day anyways. And then God goes, why don't they listen? I gave them this day to rest. They have to stay in their houses. Verse 28.
See, for that the Lord hath given you the Sabbath. Therefore, he giveth you on the sixth day the bread of 2 days. Abide ye every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day. So the people rested on the seventh day, and the house of Israel called the name thereof manna. And it was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made of honey. That actually sounds kind of
It does sound good.
nice.
Yeah.
Just like a cilantro-y honey kind of cracker.
Yeah.
All right.
It's good breakfast.
Not a bad breakfast. I mean, it's not a good breakfast. It's like one of
I
those Belvita bars. What are they called?
Those things are so good.
Those things are good, but they're also like, they got yeast in them.
It's true.
But
It's not Passover.
That bread's laying in his head. Oh, shit, it's not. Oh, fuck. Oh, I forgot about.
It's only that 1 week.
It's only. Oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But he really made a point.
But it's just for that
It was
week,
very
you will be cut
important
off
that you
from
know.
your home if you.
Okay. All right.
I just really like that God basically is just sick of looking at them. So every seventh day, if they have to stay in their house.
Does God not have anything better to do?
No. They have to take 2 quarts of manna and save it forever because it's super special and they need to be remembered that God gave them stuff. They ate manna for 40 years until they got to Canaan.
Okay. Fine. Sure.
That was a skip ahead, just some fun thing for you to know later. Now we're back to present time.
What?
They get to a new place.
Wait, we're going through the 40 years in the desert?
Yeah.
We're doing all that?
Probably gonna skip some of it. I don't really know the time frame.
I know. I'm not talking about we. I'm talking about we.
Yeah.
The Bible goes through all 40 years
More
in
or
the
less,
desert.
yes.
Oh, my God.
They get to a new place. There's no water again.
Cool.
They start to bitch and say they wish they were still in Egypt, and God doesn't understand why they're confused. And Moses is afraid because at this point he thinks they're going to kill him. So God says, hey, take your stick and hit that rock over there, and then water comes out of it.
Okay, fine.
And then warriors from the Amalek tribe attack them. And this actually might be my favorite story from a stupidity perspective.
Give it to me.
So a small battalion, not an army, but like a decent amount of people attack the Hebrews. And Moses sends all his warriors out and says, meet them on the battlefield. I'm going to go on this hill. So he goes up onto a hill with Aaron and their other buddy, Hur. And Moses has his staff. And every time he lifts his staff into the air, the Hebrews have the advantage and they start winning. And then when he puts his arm down, the Hebrews start losing. So
I feel like I know where this is going to go.
he realizes he just has to hold his hand like this until they win for real.
Mm-hmm.
But Buddy's arm gets tired. And so Aaron finds a rock for him to sit on. And they hold his arm up for him. And then they win the battle, and then God kills all the Amalekites, and that's the end of the episode today.
But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. That's funny. That's
It's just
funny.
good.
That's just, what a silly, silly story. I kind of like that that's in there.
Yeah.
You picked a great place to
Yeah.
end this. Jesus, because that's just super fun and be like, and we will be victorious. Oof. Oh man, like I know we're doing better, but I want to. Yeah, I know.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's a lot, but
But like, just for a
Just
second.
a bit.
Just for a second. Hey,
yeah,
could you get me a rock?
absolutely.
I'm gonna sit down.
I've been scoping out a couple good ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a flattish.
No, it's gonna be nice,
Okay, I'm gonna sit
smooth.
down.
Yeah, you go ahead and zip. We'll just.
You just hold that up.
Yep.
This is actually way better.
Yep.
This is
For you.
Yeah, because you're holding my arm.
Uh huh.
Do we need someone to hold your arm up?
That would be great.
I get Aaron, but he's
Right. No, he's over there.
doing
Yeah.
the other one. We're winning though.
Ooh.
Use your arm to support your arm supporting my arm.
His arm's tired.
This is in the Bible. The holy text.
That's the other thing too. Like, if this is supposed to be like the spoken word of like the Almighty, why is this even? It's just so unnecessary. Holy shit, we did it! Like, share, subscribe. WNTT. What's up, WNTT on Instagram? Shit, I post clips.
Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon. WNTT.
I'm on Instagram too, but it's not great. So fine.
Yeah,
Just
I tag him on all the posts too. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see his stuff.
yeah. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye. There we go to the show.
Yeah.